Good morning, John.
Good morning, Brian.
You're going to talk to us today about the way, the truth, and the light.
That's right. Uh, that's something that Jesus believed in, that he portrayed that, the way, the truth, and the life. So who's passing on that marvellous truth? One man that did it, one priest that did it, a famous priest in the in the broadcasting area that I even heard about or knew about from as young as 8 years of age. So this is the good influence. Uh, Archbishop Fulton John Sheen, when even he wasn't, when maybe he was a priest, but he did radio programs that had an audience worldwide because of the way he presented a half an hour program and the way he did it. And then he was on the TV in CBS or some of these national broadcasters, and he had more viewers, 300 million or something fantastic. His program, half an hour program, was the most viewed of any other program that they had. And there was some program, what do I call it? Some lad that was well known and had a program that had a big following, and it was number one. And he often mentioned about how Archbishop Sheen had replaced him. So it shows you the way that the message come across, and he was responsible for hundreds of thousands of conversions, Archbishop Fulton John Sheen. Another man that was in the same bracket that come from this country was blessed the Rosary priest, let me just think of his name, Father Patrick Peyton. He was emigrated to the United States from near Ballina, a place just outside Ballina in County Mayo. Himself and his brother Tom. His sister was in I don't know whether it was Boston or someplace like that. And so they were invited there, and there was more opportunity. So they went to the United States, and I think it was in Boston or somewhere like that. And they were working then, they were in the building trade, which is all the experience they had. But then eventually Father Patrick Peyton was employed in a parish church as a caretaker or whatever it was. And the priest there, or the canon or whatever, it was a priest of Irish extraction, not born in this country, but probably first generation Irish. And he sort of said to Patrick, Patrick Peyton expressed a wish to him that he'd like to be a priest. And he facilitated it, and I think he got then accepted, like he had to get an education. I think he did some classes, so as he was prepared then to be, he was able to join a seminary. And his brother Tom did the same thing, funny enough. So the two of them were there, and Father Patrick Peyton then, when he became a priest, was transferred to New York. I'm just giving a little example about him, and transferred to New York. And he was very good. By the way, when he was a priest, he got TB or something like that, and he was anointed. He wasn't expected to live, and an Irish priest that he knew visited him and told him to dedicate his life to the Blessed Mother, and that type of thing. And he did. And if he was cured, he would dedicate his life to promoting the Rosary. And he was cured, miracle. And so that's what he did. And when he was in New York as a curate, he got onto the local radio and had a program there. And I think he wanted a bit more exposure. And the directors at that radio station said, well, if you can invite somebody important on, we'll do it nationally or something. So the only one he could think of was Bing Crosby, who was a Catholic. And he rang Bing Crosby and managed to talk to him. And Bing agreed to be on his program, Bing Crosby. And of course it got wide leadership, so he got what he wished for. And he become pretty well known in the New York area and a wider area. So the next thing was he decided to go to California. And he went to wherever all these film studios were, and he went into a church and was saying a prayer, and Monsignor, or whoever was the parish priest there, said, what are you doing here? And he told him what his intention was, to try and get into the studios and start preaching what he was preaching about the rosary. So he was the Monsignor in the parish was able to introduce him to somebody, and so he got into that sort of background, and he started a thing called the Family Theatre, and with the result that he produced programs and even had famous actresses and actors, including President Nixon, that was at his annual dinner. He preached and converted millions. He went to South America, I think either Brazil or Argentina, Rio de Janeiro, because there was a communist government about to take over. They were following this business in Russia. This would be in the 1920s, 30s. So he went there, and 2 million people came to his crusade, his Rosary Crusade. And the next thing was the communists didn't take over. It become more a democracy, because the communists generally try to persecute Catholics and Christians, which they do wherever they are. They did it in Russia, and they did it and they're still doing it in China. So he did that. And then another thing happened in the Philippines. President Marcos, who was the president, was not re-elected, somebody else was, but he refused to give up and wanted to stay president, and he was causing difficulties in that country with what he was at. And so Father Patrick Peyton was invited to go to Manila, which he did, and another 2 million or thereabouts attended it. And before you could say anything, Marcos resigned, and democracy flourished in that country, in the Philippines. So that was one that did it, that did such great work. There was another man that I mentioned before, Father Michael Joseph Givney, or McGivney, who's first generation Irish. His parents come from this country, and he was the founder of the Knights of Columbus in America, an organisation with 2 million members, doing great work for the people in the United States, also helping in the Vatican, and helping in those countries like where they were persecuted and have churches, and helping them to build churches. So they have a worldwide influence and are very good for to try and people that have been persecuted. So these are all the people that, this is why I mentioned the Way, the Truth and the Life. They've been responsible for many conversions. We don't hear much about them now, but Father Patrick Peyton now is blessed. And Archbishop Fulton was going on for that, but some bishop in Rochester in New York come out with some old nonsense about the state, which of course believes in nothing. The people in charge there have quite an agenda that it doesn't suit an awful lot of people in that country, in that city. So and this is the situation, and this is why I say that these people did great work and responsible. Some people are doing it still, but these really had the media didn't. What do you call it? They got a voice in the media and did great work. That voice now is not heard so much. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, John.